Welcome to Cooking with the Parkensteiners. Today, I am on my own because no one wants to cook with me, but that's all right. Today, we're going to be making a smoked oyster and bacon vol au vent. This is one of my favourite things to eat when I was growing up. We would always have them at Christmas time, and it's my mum's recipe. I'm not sure where she got it from, but it's a really good one. Vol au vent, which is French for vol and vent. I don't actually know what it's French for. No, so vol au vents, if you don't know, they're like little pastry cases that are in a cylinder shape that you can put any kind of filling into. If you're not an oyster lover, like a fresh, natural oyster, don't be put off by this. It doesn't have that weird, snotty, semen-like texture to it. Smoked oysters taste very different to fresh oysters. It's actually pretty simple. All we need is some smoked oysters, some oyster sauce, flour, milk, some butter, and of course the vol au vent shells. These are actually quite hard to find now. They were a lot easier. You can get them at the supermarket, and they're actually getting pretty expensive now as well. I'm not really sure why that is, but you can get any of those things at Coles or Woolies.
Are you ready for your physical? Let's get physical, physical. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille.
Okay, so what we're just going to do first is cut up our smoked oysters. Now they come in a tin. Drain off as much oil as you can first. And they look like that, like little rotten snot pockets. So all we're going to do is just give them a rough chop up. Just like that. Now for this recipe, that was 1 packet. I use about 4 for this one. Happy. Okay, so what I've also done is just quickly diced up the bacon and then cut it off. Okay, so what I've done first is just diced up the bacon and cooked it off. I've just put that to the side and we'll add that back in at the end. So the base for this recipe is just a white sauce. So very similar if you're making bechamel for a lasagna. It's exactly the same, just without the cheese in it. It's super easy. You can make as much or as little as you want. As a general rule, for every 1 cup of milk, you probably need about a tablespoon of flour to go in it. So what we're going to do first is just melt down some butter, add the milk and bring that up to heat, and then we'll add the flour in and mix it together. 1 knob of butter. I don't know whose knob looks like that. As you're doing the white sauce, it's important to keep in mind that you constantly need to be stirring it when you can and not to have the heat up as high as it goes. Otherwise the sauce will catch at the bottom and it'll taste burnt at the end. How you like me now? How you like me now? Okay, as the liquid starts to slowly come to the boil, you can start adding your flour in. It's a good idea to sift it in and whisk it around as you go along, otherwise you'll end up with big lumps of flour in your sauce. So what I'm doing now is just whisking that through really well and letting the sauce thicken up. If you find it needs a little bit more milk or a little bit more flour because it's too runny or too thick, just add it back in. Okay, so now we've got the white sauce made up. All we need to do is add back in our ingredients. So we're just going to put in the smoked oysters. And the bacon. Just give that a stir around. And lastly, we're just going to add in some oyster sauce as well. The oysters do obviously give the white sauce a flavour, but it's not quite as strong as what I would like it to be. So just put a bit of that in and that'll really lift the oyster flavour up. Again, it depends on how much you like the flavour of it or not. So after we give that a stir, come here. Stir, stir. Stir, stir. Stir, stir. Delicious. Look at the camera. Please, delicious. Okay. So this is our finished mixture. All we're going to do now is fill our pastry cases. Now, by the power of Grayskull. Be really careful when you pick them up that the base doesn't fall out of them. Cut! Let's try that again. When you're filling them up, be careful when you pick them up because the base might fall out. Voulez-vous? One year later. Okay. Now we've got all of our pastry cases filled up. We just need to pop them in the oven. Put them in at about 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 453 degrees Kelvin. You want to put them in for about 12-15 minutes, just keep an eye on them. The top will go a bit brown and golden and then they're ready. The pastry's already cooked, so you don't have to worry too much about that. When you preheat your oven, make sure you turn on first. Okay, so there we have our final product. Looks pretty good. They're as easy as that. You can do them in big sizes or small sizes. They're good for a meal or for finger food. And that's about it. Next time we'll be doing a Korean fried chicken burger. So make sure you tune in. We'll see you then. Ta-da!